by this time, my rebellion has become my friend. It had become a part of who I am. And my mama, she can no longer control me. And so for her attempt to try to control me and give me a good life and point me in the right direction, she sent me to my Uncle Mark's house, which is in the country. And all my siblings at this time, all my aunts, uncles, you name it, they're all drug addict and alcoholic. And nobody wants to take Jeremy in, except Uncle Mark, because he has kind of cleaned his act up at this time. And so I go down there, I'm there for 4.5 years, and every other weekend I get to go see my daddy and stay with him because they have joint custody, And just this relationship with my dad, I was just longing to be with him, And so my rebellion and everything, it just grew and grew and grew. And so for these 4 years, I'm experimenting from 8 to 12. I'm just experimenting. I'm drinking alcohol. I'm stealing cigarette butts. You name it, I'm dabbling. So, and because my daddy, he drove a cab, so he would drive third shift, 12 hours, so 7 to 7, and then he would sleep all day. And it was on the weekends, so I had friends, and we lived in a pool hall, which was this family restaurant, pool hall type of place, and we lived in there. And basically, like all type of people always coming in and out, and I had friends who were much older than me, and so they were smoking weed and skipping school and all of these things. And so I looked up to them, and I'm just after this lifestyle of anything that seems bad was cool to me. Anything that seemed rebellious was cool to me. It was the thing I was seeking. And by the time I'm 12 years old, my rebellion has just increased in such a way that my aunt and uncle are like, you know what, Jeremy, you can choose whoever you want to live with your daddy, go ahead. And so I moved in with my daddy. And at that time, I was so ecstatic, like, yeah, my dad, he lets me do whatever he wants. And I think that because of the lifestyle that he had lived and the split of the marriage and everything that was happening, I think he thought that the way that he could show that he loved me was to let me do whatever I want. And so naturally, I flocked to my dad even more for that aspect alone. And he would, because he worked third shift and he would sleep all day, he would give me money like, hey, here's $50, that's enough money for you to eat. And then because we lived inside this pool hall / restaurant, I could just like, hey, get something to eat, and then my daddy would pay the tab at the end of the week. So it was like, I was taken care of in his sight, you know what I mean? But in all actuality, I was going deeper and deeper and deeper into my rebellion. And that same year, I got in the gang, started smoking methamphetamine, fully addicted to marijuana, drinking alcohol every day, skipping school every day. I quit school in the 6th grade, got in a gang, and that same year went to jail for the first time. Upstate Evaluation Center is what they called it. Here I am, 12 years old. I have a petty larceny crime and truancy. And these two crimes means that I stole something less than $1,000, and I wasn't coming to school. And so they gave me 33 days. And so you go down for an evaluation, and you can spend anywhere from 30 to 45 days, 30 to 90 days, something like that, at this place until they evaluate you and figure out, okay, is this, so it's like this in-between sentence. I ended up doing 33 days down there and came home with a year probation at 12 years old. Now, something very significant happened this first time I went to jail. I'm in there, and I was very scared because I think I was probably one of the youngest guys there. And there was a lot of older teenagers, 14, 15, 16 years old, and they were way bigger than me, And I remember these two individuals would come to me every night and take my snack. And I was scared of them, I was like, man, these guys, they're gonna beat me up, they're gonna jump on me, something like I was afraid, right? And I remember feeling like I was dying on the inside, like my pride was eating me alive, because I was like, I was so engulfed with pride and anger and rage and rebellion at this time of my life. I was like, I can't look like this in front of people. And I remember being so afraid. But it was that one day, after about a week of this, I remember being in the bathroom, looking in the mirror at myself, crying, being scared to, stand up to these guys, until I felt something just shifted inside of me. And I learned to let go to this. And what happened was, I came out of that bathroom, I ran up to those guys, and I just stole off on them. And I just started punching them as fast and as hard as I could. And that day I learned something. Anger and rage overcame fear. And so from that day forward, I learned to let go to rage when I became afraid. And it became my coping mechanism. And so every single time that I became afraid, I would go into an enragement that would catapult me into blackouts and fights and whatever it took to overcome the situation.